right, I've got 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. on the clock in the back. Welcome to this evening's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, March 11th, 2025. Call the meeting to order, and Madam Clerk, if you could take roll, please.
Garner. Here. Miller.
Here.
Daffer.
Here.
Turner.
Here.
Kehoe.
Here.
Morgan.
Here.
Kirkman.
Here.
Salmon. Here. Van Auker Jr.
Here.
All present.
All right.
2 weeks in a row, isn't it?
I'll take a report on council actions if there is one,
Yes.
and any other communication.
All right, thank you.
This is great.
Commissioners, good evening. So the last city council meeting was on March 3rd. There was 5 public hearings that night. They didn't have an open public hearing for Swainson's Hawk, which is on Greenhurst. It was a subdivision that you had approved in October. They had a public hearing for it in January, I believe, December or January, and they continued their decision to March 3rd because of some frontage improvements that they were hoping to resolve. Those frontage improvements did not get resolved, and City Council ended up denying that project. There was a zoning map amendment for 2925 East Greenhurst Road that would allow for residents to be converted into an office space for tax-related services. You approved it in November, and City Council approved it on Monday, March 3rd. At 76 North Happy Valley Road, annexation and zoning to light industrial for some industrial flex buildings. You approved it in December, and City Council approved it on March 3rd. They also had a couple of requests before them that you did not hear. Variance of a freestanding pole sign for Blue Beacon Car Wash just off the freeway. They were asking for a 60-foot sign. Our code has a maximum height of 40 feet, so they were asking for an additional 20. They were approved on March 3rd. And then the adoption of the Southwest Nampa Specific Area Plan. You approved that in November, and they approved it on the 3rd after a very, very long discussion and a lot of back and forth, and they had one change. They took everything from Lake West and made it low density. So they just changed a little bit of the land use on the map, but otherwise they approved it with that. So that was everything. Any questions? No? Okay, that's all I've got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
I don't even have to ask.
Second.
Motion to adopt the consent agenda in a second by Miller. Motion was by Commissioner Gardner. All those in favor to adopt the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda is approved, and we'll move right into public hearings. We have one this evening. The applicant has asked for 12 minutes rather than the normal 7 to present because of the size of the project, and we approved that, so they'll have 12 minutes to come up and tell us what their project is about, and then we will have the staff report. Christy is the star of the evening with the staff report tonight, the one and only. And after Christy goes, we will open the floor to public testimony for the item. If you haven't done so, there's a sign-up sheet in the back if you'd like to speak. Come up, state your name and address for the record. Keep your comments to 3 minutes. It's your time to ask questions, voice concerns, anything related to the project. After we're through with all the public testimony, we'll have the applicant come back up and provide answers, rebuttal, closing remarks, close the public hearing. We'll deliberate amongst ourselves here up on the commission, and we'll render a decision on the item. So without further ado, the action item is an annexation and zoning to RMH, multifamily residential and GB2 zoning districts and potential development agreement at 17672 North Canada Road and 0 Ustick Road, 77.87 acres, for Renee Strand of Holst Architecture, representing Mark Arduino of Murphy Development. Original concept of a zoning land use, RMH zoning totaling 67.93 acres and GB2 zoning totaling 9.94 acres for a mixed-use development, land uses including 1,492 multifamily dwelling units, open space, agriculture, and commercial. Is the applicant here this evening?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Chairman and members of Commission. My name is Mike Arduino. I'm a partner at Murphy Development Company. Our address is 1087 West River Street in Boise, and for purposes of the application, we are the owner. Just a quick thank you to the whole Development Services team, Mark, Rodney, Christy, and Daniel. You all have been so great to work with. We really appreciate your efforts on this project. Next slide, please. A little information about us. Our company was founded in 1984 by our chairman, Mike Murphy, who is here with us tonight to answer any questions you might have. Murphy Development Company has completed over 10 million square feet of building projects with a history of providing superior quality in both design, amenities, and landscaping and amenities. And we look forward to providing another high-quality project for you all this evening. Our company has a history of partnering with cities in which we build, and we have significant expertise in land development. Here with me tonight is our consultant team, including Holst Architecture, the Land Group, Kittleson and Associates, our traffic engineer, and our land use counsel, Deb Nelson. All team members are available for any questions you might have. Next slide, please. So the request before you here this evening is for a 78-acre mixed-use master plan multifamily community located at the northeast intersection of Ustick Road and Canada Road. The project would be phased over multiple years to provide homes gradually based on market demand. To facilitate the development of this community, our application is seeking annexation and initial zoning of RMH and a small 9-acre portion of Gateway Business 2, and we would propose a development agreement to ensure compatibility. The application includes a concept plan to provide a sense of design, and design review will be required after annexation and zoning approval. Sorry. Annexation is appropriate as the owners have consented to annexation and the parcels are contiguous to Nampa city limits to the east at the property boundaries of the Spring Hollow subdivision. Next slide, please. The requested zoning of RMH and GB2 are in harmony and consistent with the city's currently adopted comprehensive plan and future land use map, which designate the entire site as high-density residential. The project will fulfill the comp plan's vision for high-density residential designation with the multi-story, multifamily development in the proposed RMH zone that complements the adjacent medium density developments to the east and provides a high-quality amenitized housing and a diversity of housing. Next slide, please. We are contemporaneously requesting director approval of an administrative lot splits to create 5 lots from the current 2 parcels in a separate application. Next slide, please. The site is located along 2 prime arterials, Ustick Road and Canada Road, and the project proximity to the new Highway 16 and Diamond interchange make this location well-suited to the development. Ustick Road will also be widened from 2 lanes to 5 lanes this year per the strategic grant the city received from the state. The site is also benefited by having direct access to Canada Road and thereby access to I-84 just 2 miles to the south. The site will be served by city water and sewer via the future Ustick Road sewer project that our company will be entering into a reimbursement agreement with the city to see it completed. And we look forward to our partnership with the city in this regard. Our company also met with Joseph Palmer at the Valley View School District, and we are aware that Nampa's growth is having an impact on the schools. Multifamily developments typically have fewer impact on schools than the traditional single-family development. However, our company intends to provide a voluntary donation per dwelling unit payable upon the issuance of building permits, and we would memorialize that agreement and donation with the Valley View School District. Next slide, please. Our team conducted a traffic impact analysis to identify potential impacts of the project to local roads and identify ways to mitigate those concerns. The project will be phased over multiple years, and while the development will generate additional traffic on area roadways, Planned improvements in the Nampa's capital improvement plan already planned for capacity to accommodate the project. Specifically, Ustick Road will be widened to 5 lanes commencing this summer, and at some point in the near future, Canada will be also widened to 5 lanes. So both improvements will provide adequate capacity for the project build-out. The traffic study did identify a need for expansion of the Cherry Lane and Canada Road roundabout by the year 2034. However, this improvement is not triggered by the addition of our project's traffic, but is needed to serve existing future development in the area. The traffic study also recommended adjusting the city's intended Ustick Road design to include a traffic-controlled mid-mile full movement collector connection between Canada and Star Road in order to be consistent with ACHD's master street map to the north of Ustick Road, reducing reliance on Canada and Star Road's intersections and improving vehicle movement while generally improving connectivity. Our team closely collaborated with the city's engineering team in this regard. So with that, the project will be served by 3 access points, a right-in, right-out access point along Ustick Road, the traffic-controlled full-movement mid-mile collector street and traffic signal at the northeast corner of the site, and a left-out and right-out access point at Canada Road. And now I'd like to turn it over to Holst Architecture to walk you through the proposed concept plan. But before that, I just want to say we appreciate the opportunity to bring this special project to the city of Nampa. We believe it's a well-designed community that will bring the needed housing to Nampa and fulfill the city's planning vision for the rapidly changing area, all while honoring the rural roots of the city and providing the superior residential experience. I'm available for questions after this. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Renee Strand. I'm an owner and a principal with Holst Architecture, 123 Northeast 3rd Avenue, Portland, Oregon, and I'm honored to be here tonight as part of the team and the applicant. Holst has designed multiple multifamily projects in the Treasure Valley. Our closest project to here is the Clara, which is up in Eagle. And this is our first project in Nampa, so we're really excited. And I do apologize in advance. I'm going to more or less read my text because I'm a talker, and otherwise I will run over this rapidly declining clock. So let's see here. The team's overall planning focus has been to provide a community-oriented, walkable neighborhood centered around several amenity areas, many of those in the proposed GB2 zone. And we're going to zoom in to phase 1 at the northeast corner along Ustick for a few slides just to illustrate how the RMH and GB2 zones are envisioned. Since this is such a large site, it feels like this is probably more of a scale where you can see our planning and intent and up on the screen. So in the RMH zone, which is the northern half, there's a mix of residential building types, parking, and pocket green spaces. And in the GB2 zone, which is in the southern half of the plan you're looking at, we have a community plaza area with retail, gathering, and children's play space, as well as thoughtful exterior programming, which I'll get into next. There we go. And the heart of this neighborhood is really this 3-acre farm area that we're proposing. So our programming and operations model for the farm is still currently in progress. It may include a combination of U-Pick, flowers, small seasonal crops, as well as curated events. So think pumpkins and hot cider, or a Christmas tree lot for residents and neighbors. And so while this will be a beautiful amenity in the growing seasons, we're also giving a lot of thought to how it functions in the dormant season with cover crops and making sure it's a year-round attraction. The community plaza area, if I go north just a little bit, is envisioned as both a resident and a community destination. It includes a small retail building, so something like a coffee shop or cafe, an event building, which would be for larger family or community gatherings, potentially weddings, a small market, and a children's play space. We also have a comprehensive residential amenity program for all of these new units, including a clubhouse with wellness and fitness facilities, meeting rooms, space for teens and families, and a large outdoor pool. And this, in phase 1, is just one of the clubhouses and pools within the project. You'll see we're providing an ample landscape buffer along Ustick and the new Collector Street. We're planning for a perimeter shared use trail and continuous network of pedestrian pathways throughout the site. And we're looking at having an orchard between Ustick and the primary project entrance, which is shown on this plan in purple. That perimeter trail would weave through the orchard. As I noted a few slides ago, in the RMH zone, we'll have a variety of residential amenities throughout the larger site. Those include playground space for kids, garden plots, small sports courts, and barbecues with community seating. And these occur throughout a series of sort of pocket open spaces in each building cluster. So overall, our goal is to provide a thoughtfully designed residential community with a variety of unit types and comprehensive amenities all nestled around this 3-acre farm. And so thank you all for your time and consideration. Finished under the deadline, and I'm going to hand it off to Christy for your staff report. Thank you all.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant right now?
Quick question, Mr. Chair. So the project in Eagle that you mentioned, is it similar to this project with the multifamily,
Yes.
3-story walk-ups and all
Yep.
that? Okay.
Yeah, it's called the Clara, and it's on Linder.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
yep. There's some images of it throughout here.
Okay.
Any other questions before I step
I
away?
don't think so. We'll probably have some later.
Thanks.
Christie?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. The action before you this evening is for annexation and zoning for 9.94 acres of GB2 and 67.9 acres of RMH for 2 parcels currently located at 17276 Canada Road and 0 Ustick Road. The project is contiguous to the city limits, as mentioned. Spring Hollow Ranch subdivision is zoned RS 8.5 to the east. To the north is Meridian's impact area, and I will show you their fields plan here in just a minute. To the south is Canyon County Ag Land. To the east is RS 8.5. To the west is also Canyon County Ag Land. So the developer will be responsible for dedicating right-of-way on Canada Road and on Ustick Road. They will be responsible for frontage improvements along both of those roadways and the potential new roadway coming in where it said mid-mile collector there. The traffic impact study is required for any project generating more than 100 new vehicle trips during any peak hour. It will be required for this project. There are utilities, well, kind of. There's water in Canada Road, about 700 feet south of the development parcel. The trunk line, the sewer trunk line, is about 1,650 feet west of Ustick and Franklin intersection, so it will need to be brought out to this point. Pressurized irrigation, there's a 12-inch main in Canada Road at the same location as the water. And, of course, they will be required to adhere to city standards for all their development, including a 10-foot wide side path along all the arterial and collector roadways. We did receive some correspondence. One of the neighbors, Charlie Hoff, sent in a letter in support and said that it will provide affordable housing options and preserve farmland. Valley View School District, as stated, is concerned about rapid growth and space in its existing schools. Code compliance has noted that there is accumulation of waste and weeds to be destroyed on this property. That will need to be remedied prior to annexation being completed. Nampa Meridian Irrigation District stated that the Welsh Drain is in this area and the easements need to be protected. CenturyLink noted that there could be potential conflicts with their facilities and that it will be on the developer to relocate those. Engineering submitted their standard comments for construction, access, drainage, irrigation, water, and sewer. Nampa Fire had a comment. The property is located approximately 3.6 miles from Nampa Fire Station number 3 with a response time of 7 minutes. Build out of this residential area will provide the fire district with approximately $1,321,912 in impact fees. The overall concept could require a personnel demand of an additional 1.5 firefighter positions. So as far as the comprehensive plan is concerned, it is located in a high-density residential area. There are a number of guiding principles found in our comprehensive plan that are outlined as facts in your staff report, a few of those being defined density for the HDR designation, smart growth principles, building design, housing affordability, and the need to provide a variety of housing types with strategies on how to achieve that. The comprehensive plan also defines compatibility with residential areas and commercial uses and neighborhood commercial strategies. All of those guiding principles are outlined in the comprehensive plan and are found to be met with this project. The proposed project intends to create 5 large parcels for a mixed-use development. According to our code, they are allowed to create parcels larger than 5 acres without going through a subdivision process. They can go through a simple land division through a property boundary adjustment application. The land uses on this property, as she stated, will be multifamily dwelling units, open space, agriculture, and commercial uses. So this is the Meridian Fields plan to the north of Ustick. So everything north of Ustick and east of Canada Road is City of Meridian impact area and is governed, the transportation system is governed by ACHD. To the south and the east, or the west, did I say west? To the south and the west of Ustick and Canada is all Nampa, and we handle the land use and the transportation network. This project, as noted here in blue, right down here, is located just at the southwest corner of where this plan abuts the city of Nampa. And our specific area plan for Highway 16 starts just to the east of this project location. So this project location does not fall into that State Highway 16 plan. The area circled in red contains designations such as industrial park, business park, high density, and mixed use centers. These defined designations closely match the designations that are identified in our comprehensive plan as well. The 2 jurisdictions worked very closely to ensure that they were not in conflict with each other. This slide might look familiar to you. This is from our annual report. This was presented to you a few weeks ago, and it indicates that we have a current shortage of housing by about 2,400 units as of today. This project, of course, is going to take a number of years to fully build out, and the annual report says that if we maintain our level of growth for the next 5 years, we will be 10,870 units short. So this project would help make a small dent in that. This is the tax revenue by zone. They are requesting RMH. As you can see, the tax revenue received to the city through that zone is actually higher than any of the rest of them. So there are 4 criteria to be used in determining the appropriateness of annexation. All the landowners have consented to this annexation. The property is contiguous to the city limits. The comprehensive plan includes the area of annexation, and it complies with the memorandum of understanding between the city and Nampa Highway District Number 1. There are 3 criteria when determining eligibility for zoning. In this case, staff finds these criteria to be met by this project. It proposes a compatible zoning district with those identified in the comprehensive plan and the Meridian Fields plan. It proposes compatible uses with what has been identified for future development of this area. It is in the interest of the public because it has proposed a development that will provide needed housing with a layout that complies with adopted city codes, and it will contribute to the extension of city utilities and traffic infrastructure improvements. These are your recommended conditions of approval. These are your potential motions, and I will stand for any questions.
Questions for Christie? What?
Christie, how do they do this money for schools? They say that so much per door, so much per square foot, so much per acre, or how do they figure out how much money school gets?
Commissioner Kehoe, that is a conversation between them and the school district. I've seen it be $500 a door. I've seen it be $1,000 a door. It's different with every conversation they have, so I don't know.
I know it's not a set pattern, it's whatever they can work out. Right, fair enough.
But it's typically per door rather than square footage.
And a comment to you guys and your project. I noticed you have the commercial area right dead center almost in the subject of your project. And sitting up here, I can't tell you how many times we've had a project that they're putting in convenience stores, I'm trying to run this operation. And everybody says, no, I don't want it in my backyard, I don't want it in my backyard. Well, it's right in your neighbor's backyard, so you put it right in the right place. It's there before anybody buys any property, so I congratulate you on doing it right. That's what. Also,
All right. No, you said you were done.
Door is closed.
Daniel, got a question for you, please. Can a roundabout be made larger, because it's single lane, one lane, and then traffic builds up, and we need it to be 2 lanes wide? Can you do that, or is it difficult to operate there?
So when roundabouts are designed, we always design them to be expandable to a dual lane roundabout. The intersections there on Ustick, with some of the state grant funding that we've had, it's likely that up until you hit Franklin, they will be signalized instead of roundabouts now. And then as you get farther to the west, we'll go back to roundabouts. But that's part of our grant funding on the state project. So yes, we have not done designs on the intersection of Canada and Ustick yet. Those are, we'll be starting here, I want to say this next fiscal year, we would be starting those designs on that portion. What is already currently designed and going to be going out to bid is from the Phyllis Canal to the east back to Highway 16. That's all under, the designs are completed and they're going out to bid.
Now, are you done?
I'm done now.
Okay.
Mr.
Anybody
Chair,
else have questions? Yep, go ahead.
I'll jump in front of you. Just ask a few questions of staff in case they want to respond as well. Traffic impact study will be required. Has it been done yet?
They have submitted, we've done our first rounds of review. The comments were fairly minor and yeah.
Anything they're required to do? Are they
They're-
putting that signal?
There are impacts that they have to do. Let me pull those up and I can list them off for you. One sec. It's, if I remember correctly, right off the top of my head, there were no full intersections that they were, no existing full intersections that they were having to go back in and, signalize or that. Am I remembering that correctly? Yeah.
The sewer line, do you want to speak at all, Daniel, to that?
Do you want to speak to So the city is going out to bid to a construction manager, general contractor for the construction of the Purdom Sewer, which will extend from just east of Franklin all the way to Canada and Eustic. It will be a 2.5-year project. Right now, we're looking at it being completed tentatively in the summer of 2028. The funding, the capital needs for that project, the developer, amongst other developers, have agreed to a latecomers agreement, of which they would be forwarding approximately $8.5 million towards that project and being reimbursed to future development that came into the district. So that's kind of where we're at with that project right now, and Murphy is one of those participating developers.
So that project will bring it up to the corner of Canada and Eustic.
Yes, Commissioner, as well as water and also pressure irrigation.
And then is the developer bringing it the rest of the way to theirs from that?
Yes, they will connect at the intersection, take it south a couple of hundred yards, and then it will proceed easterly across their property to serve their property, and then they'll stub it out for the adjacent property to also continue the sewer line east.
While you got the microphone, do you know or have any plans for the properties adjacent to this?
It is our understanding there is a plan for development to the east of their property, yes.
Just to the east?
And possibly into that, all the way to Star. There are a couple other developments also before that intersection. Nothing official, though, at this point. We have not received anything.
Maybe back to Daniel or Christie. I'll go to Daniel first. A lot of times it's this isn't really a subdivision, but there's a lot of interior roads in here that we often have. I don't know, it seemed really like a grid, straight grid. Is that meet your design standards for like traffic calming and stuff?
So where these would be more likely drive aisles, there will be the collector road there on the east boundary that would be a city street. The rest of these, I think, are planned as access drives, service drives to the multifamily, not necessarily public streets, though if they are, those would be, because this is not a plat application, those specific reviews would happen with either a site permit, building permit, or if they ended up doing a subdivision, we would review at that point. Where with them not planned to be public, from my understanding, they would be able to do traffic calming measures as they saw fit to address those. It wouldn't be something that we would dictate on our side.
So the answer is you don't care because it's not public.
I didn't use those words, but, you know.
That was a leading question.
And this is probably a leading question for them to answer when they come back up. Is there enough parking? Have you reviewed the parking?
I'll let Christie take that one.
Commissioner Morgan, no, we don't have an official site plan yet from them, so I have not calculated the parking according to the number of units. It'll all depend on whether or not this project gets approved, and then they can start to dial that in, but it'll meet code.
Okay. I'm done.
I only have one now because he asked all the questions I had. Eustic Road, is that Nampa Highway District or is that ACHD? Where does that lie?
So the county line runs down the middle of Eustic Road from McDermott to Canada. So the north half of the road is under ACHD's jurisdiction until it's annexed. The south half is under Nampa Highway District's jurisdiction. We, as the city, went after the grant application with the state for those improvements on Eustic, and so we have taken over operation and maintenance of that roadway already in anticipation of the growth that will happen there and getting the grant to do those improvements.
Okay. But that brings up another question. The grant that we got for the signals, is the signals required? Is it mandated by the grant? My understanding is that we originally had been looking at roundabouts along there with the some of the grant
stuff we got from ITD and input from ITD and potentially legislators that authorized the grants, those decisions were made that we would signalize that corridor instead of roundabouts.
Typically, grants come with strings attached.
It was a large grant, and, you know, it's.
Pass it up, yeah.
It is definitely doing good things for the transportation system up there.
Right on. That's all I have, Chair.
Yep. Commissioner Gardner?
Daniel, or I guess either one, the sewer improvements that are going to go for the 1,000 feet or whatever it is, right? Would that capital improvement be happening now if this project was not on the table?
We are moving forward anticipating that we will start construction on that project. If we did not get their contribution, we do have some options. For example, we could shorten a length of the sewer and end it just west of Canada and Eustic. So we do have some options and some flexibility built in. But as it stands, the full line all the way to Eustic and Canada is contingent upon on the $8.5 million.
Okay, so with their, I think what you said, $8 million that they're coming in with their early jump in, what is the city's part of that? What is the city, do we have are we paying money out for the sewer as well?
The full cost of the project is estimated at $36 million. So 36 minus 8.5 is what the city is funding of that portion.
Okay, thanks.
And another portion of that, can't do math, 28 million is going to be hopefully funded by the future stuff that you were talking about, the latecomers. Is that correct, or?
The $8.5 million will be reimbursed by developers through reimbursement fees.
So that's the total of everybody?
Yes, the 8.5 is a total from everybody. The rest of the costs are being funded through impact fees and wastewater user fees and some other available funding also. But those are solely city funds.
Okay.
Good. Okay, thank you. Now, open public testimony for this item. Madam Clerk, do we have a sign-up sheet?
We have no one signed up to speak on this item.
All right, is there anybody in here that would like to speak for, against, or undecided on the application this evening? Okay. Probably have questions for you, Mr. Arduino. Sorry, I butchered your name the first time.
No, that's right.
Come on up.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for having us here this evening.
Yep. So the 3-acre farm, the orchard, all that common area that would be, I think, a huge benefit to the project if it's maintained and used and all that. How is that going to be managed? I know your sorry, I forgot, the architect mentioned that your plans were still in progress for that, but
Right.
what's your vision there?
And we would hire out potentially the vendors to operate it and use it. So we would, in a sense, be like a landlord of it, in a sense. We haven't quite figured out every detail of it just yet, but we think it's going to be a great benefit for both the public and the private community itself. And, you know, there's things we're learning up here, like, for instance, with our landscape architect about how to maintain it in the winter. You grow ryegrass, you know, to help create the field in the winter to make sure it's not just a slop of mud, for instance. So things like that we're still ironing out in this site design phase, I would say.
Have you done something like this before in other areas, or
We have not.
is this kind of a new concept?
It's a new concept for us, yes. It's a new concept, frankly, for a lot of developers, but it is becoming popular, the agri-hood, they call it. And we think it's a great way to pay homage to the history of the site.
Cool. Any other questions? Nothing?
Wow.
Sorry, Commissioner, how soon would you foresee development starting if everything rolls fairly quickly with this?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a great question. You know, it's always market dependent, of course. We would expect to have approvals, let's call it by the summer, and then we would start working drawings, would take about 6 months, and then about 6 months to get through the building permit process, do plan checks and whatnot. So we would probably be looking to break ground in sometime in 2026. The hope would be we could start construction before the weather starts and we have to catch up to it.
And then about how long to build out, do you think, roughly?
It's about 2 years typically to build something like this first phase. 18 to 22 months is what you typically see.
So like 10 years to, 8 to 10 years to complete?
Oh, for the whole build out? Yes. Yeah, something to that effect.
All right.
Again, based on market demand for it.
Mr. Chair, I have a quick question about the sewer then. Let's say that the city can't come up with $28 million to extend that sewer line. Would that impede the building of your project? Would that put that on hold, or is there a contingent in place?
So
I'll let Daniel answer that.
Like you answer it. No, you
So
answer it.
we have been having discussions with their development team as well as others in the area about some alternative sewering methods if the city is delayed in getting that sewer trunk line out there. So there are already discussions happening if they receive approvals through city council and that, and the sewer is delayed for some reason, whether construction or funding or what, that we have some plans in place that we can punt to get some portions of the projects underway sooner while we finish up that sewer line.
Contingencies are in place then?
They are in discussion, and they are not finalized, but we have an avenue to go if there is a delay.
All right, very good, thank you.
Is that just like a massive septic tank or something?
Yeah.
A really big one.
I know the property on Linder has a big lake. Maybe you can put one of those in there as like a holding.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I had. In case anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Garner, second by Kehoe to close the public hearing. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Public hearing's closed. It's pretty quick for a project of that size. But, I mean, it's right down the lane, or high-density comp plan. I've toured the Clara. It's a great project, and got a lot of confidence in the architect and the team. You guys have done a really good job putting this together, and I think it'd be a huge benefit for the community. I hope the farm is used and the residents enjoy that. It's like a mile from my house, so don't get mad if I come steal vegetables. Yeah.
It really is a great location. That type of housing, a mile and a half or so from
Interchange.
the interchange there. It's not tucked into a large residential area, but, so I like it. I like the location, and the project looks fantastic.
I like the fact that Christie said right across the road, Meridian's future plans are essentially the same thing. So, I mean, that makes me feel a lot better about that whole area, because it is in our future land use exactly this. And it's nice to know that Meridian's going to continue that same use right across the street. So,
Maybe we can get them to chip in a little bit for the sewer.
yeah, I mean,
Meridian?
Yeah.
no, they'll have to take their own sewer across the street.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
I think I like the project, I like everything about it, right? I like the location. I think that my hangup is like $28 million to push the sewer all the way out there when there's so much need for infrastructure here in the heart of our town, right? And we're pushing the limits of our city to get sewer out there when we have so much need here in town. Those funds could be used elsewhere. That's the tough pill for me to swallow, but I like the project, and it's good to get it out there because it's such a great location for what's coming in the future.
That's what I was going to say. You got Highway 12 going through there, 16, whatever it's called.
Yeah, whatever that was.
Mid-Valley Highway or
We're
something.
already designing a new one.
Yeah. it's got to be out there sooner or later.
Right.
No matter what, so.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I will say that the majority of that city funding is impact fees that are required to be spent on growth-related items, not, existing infrastructure. And so that is the majority of that funding that we are using there, comes from the growth-related impact fees that we can't use for maintenance and operations.
Mr. Chair, if there's no other questions or comments, I'll make a
I like
motion.
it. I think it's a great project. I like the farming idea and stuff. I think it's going to be fun.
It'll be fun.
Fun, good community.
It seems like everybody that lives out there likes it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Neighbors all for it, so.
Surprised we didn't get we didn't get any really opposition.
I just,
To no one out there,
well, everybody out there was.
within 300 feet.
Developer that's gonna,
Yeah, and then the guy that letter of support, yeah, I like it, bring sewer to my property.
That's what I was saying. The first of the Mohegans going in there.
yeah, I think it's gonna kickstart that area. It's gonna build out at the right pace to meet with, as Highway 16 completes and, yeah. Sorry, I won't
No, that's all right.
anyway, Jeff.
No, Mr. Chair, I move to recommend approval of the annexation and zoning to RMH and GB2 zoning districts and potential development agreement at 17672 North Canada Road and 0 Ustick Road for Renee Strand of Holst Architecture, representing Mike Arduino of Murphy Development with the conditions of approval and findings of fact as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kirkman and a second by Morgan to recommend approval of the annexation and zoning to RMH and GB2. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That will be before City Council. And thank you all for coming. I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
You beat Peggy.
Motion by Kirkman, second by Selman to adjourn. All those